Welcome to the Super Six podcast. We are live. Arsenal's season is over. But what's the reaction? We're going to be going through it now. Steve's here. You can see he's distraught. He's a broken man. Liverpool is still pushing for a top four spot as they take on Leicester tonight. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one as well. And Brighton, Roberto De Zerbi has had an excellent season this year, but can they ward off potential suitors for his signature in the summer? I'm joined by Steve, Kate, and Alex. How you doing?
Hi.
Hey! Finally, this is the first time in about 7 weeks that I've said welcome to the show, and I've actually got a response. It feels good, people. So make sure you
probably the most falsest one I've ever done. This one.
It don't matter. It don't matter. They all count. They all count. I'd rather have that than dead air. Like that just kills me. All right, but let's get onto it. Let's get onto the elephant in the room, Stephen. Yeah, he gets the full name. Arsenal have had people dress up as chefs in an attempt to cook them while their team sit in 11th spot. They've had some top pundits call them out. They've had some Arsenal fans call for the manager's head. Yes. Steve.
Yeah.
To win a league, Arsenal have to get potentially beyond 95 points. It's got to be an outrageous claim that Arsenal have bottled the league this season, surely.
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. Of course it is. They haven't, in my eyes, they haven't bottled it. They've come up short. I don't know what reason why. You can look into so many different bits and pieces of, you can go through the season, games lost, bits and pieces, what's happened, and the injuries, which I'm not going to go on about because everybody has injuries. But it happens every season to every team. So there's always going to be parts of a season and parts and things that you can pick on and say, look, this is the reasons why Arsenal didn't win it. But look, the main reason why we didn't win it is just that his main reason is because we got Man City, in front of us, or we had Man City behind us. We're just not there yet. I think we just sort of we put up the white flags on. I think even before kickoff, it looked to me. I think even after 10 minutes, watching the game, I was like, "You're not right." Sometimes with your team, don't you? Sometimes you've watched the team long enough, or you've watched football long enough, and you can analyse how a team's going to, most of the time, how they're going to perform through 90 minutes. And I just knew there was something not right. Full marks to Brighton, but in the end, we just come up short, and it was simple as that. A lot of people have said, like you said, there they've picked on Arteta, they've picked on players. I don't know how they can do that. This beginning of the season, we would have grabbed your hand off to be where we are right now. Yes, we're disappointed because we did have that chance, and in the other season we probably would have won the league. But arguably we're up against probably one of the best Premier League teams that there's ever been, with one of the most unreal goal scorers that we're ever going to see. There's loads of attributes I'm sure we'll maybe we'll get into a little bit later. The people that are turning around and they're saying that Arsenal bottled it. I don't think they bottled it. I just think we're a young side. We had injuries. Our squad still ain't strong enough. You can question the team's mentality a little bit. I'd say it's more of the sort of a learning process where it just got that little bit too much. Where in the end, after that Everton game, after Man City went there and beat them 3-0, I just felt that something had been taken out of them. And especially when Brighton got the first goal, and then the edge just dropped. And it was sad to see. But we've had a great season. And yeah, I've seen a few things that Gary Neville said tonight on Monday Night Football, and I don't know what he's doing. He should go and talk sport now. With all the other washed up pundits, because it's sad what he's saying tonight. But yeah, we'll be back.
All right.
What did he say? I missed.
We got. I've got a couple of quotes here. I'm not sure if they're the quotes.
Do you know what? As well, like what he does talk about. He talks about leaders. Leaders on the pitch, and there is an emphasis where he's right about that. Right, we do need more leaders. Right, but if there's one person who can't take about leaders, right, that's Gary Neville. Right, because in my eyes, he was just someone who hanged on the coattails of an absolute juggernaut of a football team in the 90s, early 2000s, which was Man United, and he certainly was never, ever, ever a leader in that side. He was just a player who was just lucky to be in that side, who just happened to be in that little group of class of 99. He's a very lucky individual because he is not a leader. So he should keep his mouth shut, because he's trying to make himself out to say that he's one, and he certainly isn't.
All right. Strong words from Steve there. Alex, Arsenal have had a season against the odds, but where can you be critical with them along the way in that season? Where do you see the downfall of Arsenal's season?
Gosh, it's really hard to be critical of a team that have only lost 5 times and they've drawn, I think, 6 times or something in the whole. It's so hard because I think City have lost 1 less game. So I think the way I could be critical is probably that it's the fine margins, and it's taking those chances, and it's like those little games, like the game that they played against Everton. I know a few of my friends have said Everton are a bogey team for Arsenal. It's just games like that. It's just making sure that they can really take the game and just keep going and keep the momentum going. And I feel like, even saying that, I feel like they've had so many moments where they've played really well and they've come back and they've been incredible. But there's a few games that obviously stick into my head. It's the Southampton game and the Liverpool game. I think there's times where you're leading. It's like that's where you have to really go in for the kill, and you have to go in and score more, or the tactics needs to be you have to defend that lead for dear life, basically. So I think those are the only factors that I could be really critical. And I think that it's been difficult for them because squad depth. You're going up against Manchester City, who you look at their bench sometimes and you're like, wow, you can afford to have Kevin De Bruyne and just chilling on the bench, and Stones and Rodri sometimes, and Gundogan. You can interchange. You can have Foden. So it's going up against a team that's stacked like that is really, really difficult. So, like you said earlier, it's they've literally, if it wasn't for City, they would have won the league, because there's no one near them right now. No one near, not even close enough. So I think the critical thing for me is just taking those opportunities when they had them at the time, and just literally winning those games that they didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's especially against the teams that they should be taking points off is the probably the most frustrating thing. Neville, a few of Neville comments. He said the over celebrations against Aston Villa, Zinchenko after the Bournemouth celebrating for an hour after the game. Gary Neville was critical of the experienced players at Arsenal not spreading composure in the dressing rooms. What's your thoughts on that one, Steve?
What does he go and get his pipe and slippers or something? And sit and just. What's the matter? That's what football's all about, isn't it? Celebrating goals. I don't understand what's wrong with that. I wanted to see my grandson play football the other day. He scores a goal, they celebrate and they cheer, and it's it's the greatest things that you want to see. When fans go to football matches, one of the things they want to see is just their team celebrating after the game. They want them to go up. They want to, no matter, it's a win. The fans pay their money. They not only do it for themselves, they do it for their fans. To thank their fans, for cheering them on during the game to come back to win. I've never understand that. For me, anybody can celebrate, as much as they like. Again, I just don't. I'll never understand that. What was the other comment he said? I can't even.
Basically, what his point is he's saying that Zinchenko after the Bournemouth comeback, he's still celebrating with the fans an hour after the game outside the stadium, and with the Aston Villa game, I think it was in general just the over celebrations of that game. For a game that was in February, essentially, I think he's making his point at home. Oh no,
he's picking though, isn't it? He's picking, isn't he? He's just picking he's picking out one specific moment in the whole season where a team might have, celebrated. You say this is the Bournemouth game where we come back and scored in the last minutes of the game, where like seconds of the game, last kick of the game, where the fans are on this incredible buzz, and sometimes that feeling from the fans, sort of goes into the players, and that's all part of leading on to the next game. You're celebrating with your fans. What's wrong with that? I have no idea what's wrong with that. He seems to have this problem with Zinchenko, Gary Neville. I don't know what it is, but he does seem to have a problem with him. It's not the first time he's picked on thing. I mean, he also was saying about Zinchenko that he's not a leader. In the dressing room. I mean, did you see him against Manchester City when he's Manchester? He was the guy in the dressing room at Manchester City who used to shout and scream and he was the captain in the dressing room, Zinchenko. So what is he talking about? That the guy is not a leader. He's got a problem with him. He's got a problem with him. Maybe it's because he's a fullback just like he was, and he obviously didn't have that about him when he was it. Like I said, he was certainly not a leader. He certainly didn't have it in him, But maybe he's a bit jealous. Maybe he's jealous of the way he is. That maybe that he's a little bit weaker, and he wishes he was him. I don't know. He seems to have a problem with him though.
Alex, what's your thoughts on the comments? The points that Neville's making is that he feels that those games were an indication that the leadership amongst the squad was maybe as immature, probably not the right word to say, as some of the younger players in the squad, and maybe a more level-headed, more experienced leader in amongst the group would have just settled them down and just made it out like this is just any other game. We move, the game's done, we move on, rather than celebrating with the fans an hour after the game. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's ridiculous. I think he's borderline being a Souness in this moment. It's like Souness has left and now he's sort of taken over that role. Just like Gary Neville is somebody that I do respect in terms of his football opinion because he's played the game at a high level. So he's seasoned at that experience. But I feel like that comment is just so unnecessary. I mean, what is wrong with celebrating? I've seen Haaland sit on the floor and do his little yoga pose for City. I've seen them do a guard of honor for him because he got the most goals. I mean, so what? Why is that a problem? Why are we now kind of policing how teams celebrate? And I think it's also amazing that in the middle of a season, you've got players who are look so happy to be playing for the team they're playing for that they celebrate so enthusiastically. I don't understand why that's such a problem. It's like, in football, there's so many dinosaurs who remember when, they played in the 90s when it was, rough and tough and no one smiled or did anything to celebrate. You just one arm or something. Now it's like people have different forms of celebration and expressing themselves, and it's a problem. I find that absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't agree or appreciate his views on that at all.
Yeah, I think he was clutching at straws there, especially when you look at the timings of the goal. Arsenal scored against Aston Villa after being 2-1 down for the majority of the game. They scored in the 93rd minute of added time, and then Martinelli scored in like the last kick of the game once Martinez came up for the corner. And obviously, people know about the Bournemouth situation where Arsenal were 2-0 down, and then pulled it back on like pretty much the last kick of the game. So, yeah, again, it's. I think he's pinpointing situations and taking them a little bit out of context. I do get his angle to a certain degree, but you can't put it down to those two games, especially when Arsenal went on to win. I think they, after the Aston Villa game, Arsenal went on to win against Leicester, Everton, Bournemouth game was involved, Fulham, Palace, Leeds, and then they drew to Liverpool. So I don't think it's the case there. I think you can probably, if he was to pinpoint situations like the Liverpool game and point out things where he thought Arsenal could have been more composed, Arsenal could have held the lead, Arsenal could have done this, Arsenal could have seen out games more. If it was a case of that, then yeah. But I'm not on this celebration nonsense. I just think it's a load of rubbish, and I do think it's a part of, like Alex said, it's a part of those players looking back when football was around that time and trying to bring it into this time, and it's a different game now. Dukes says, Zinchenko strikes me as a player who leads by his performance on the pitch. Not everyone leads in the same way. What's your thoughts on that one, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, not everybody leads. Everyone's got their own different ways. He shows his leadership in a lot of different ways. As you know, the comment just said there, he shows it on the pitch. He shows it off the pitch. He shows it, where you see him celebrating to a degree where some people say it's over the top. But obviously, I don't. I don't think there's a bar of being over the top when you're celebrating. There's also times when he gets upset with one game. I've seen him, in tears when we've won football games. He's an emotional character. I'm surprised Gary Neville don't know this. We see with the Ukrainian thing and and how emotional he is. He's an emotional man. He shows his emotions in many different ways. That's what people like Zinchenko do, right? It's called being a human being. Neville just seems to want to be, like you said, he's one of these old-fashioned fuddy-duddies who only wants it, Harry Kane just to go jump up again, a little skip and a jump, or Alan Shearer to do his little fist pump and that's sweet. But and that's it. And they got really far, didn't they, by winning things, Shearer and Kane, didn't they? Yeah, they got a long way. Yeah, what did they win? Not a lot.
But how is he expecting them to lead exactly? Like lead them to stop celebrating? Or I think for me that the leadership that I'd want to see is in the dark times or the tough times when, like, for example, the game the other day when you're going behind is to like really like G up the rest of your players and get them to perform. And I think that he has done that over the course of the season. I don't think it's that isolated moment should be like, I don't know, overshadowing all the work he's done since he's come to Arsenal. I think it's a bit of a reach for me.
Yeah,
maybe if he was on the pitch the other day, maybe he would have, leaded them in a certain way where we may have got some kind of result. I don't know. You say games about moments, but you don't know. You can't pick out particular moments. Nothing like that. And Gary Neville's turning into someone who's, a bit of a flip flop. 1 minute he's praising Arsenal. Then the next minute he's not, and then as Alex said, it's pretty much what someone like Graham Souness used to do. So yeah, maybe he's taking on that role now, which is sad.
Duke says best left back of the season for me, and celebrate when you score. Why not? What's the point of playing if you can't celebrate? I think
exactly.
Jamie Carragher makes some points. He said if you want to win the title, you can't be looking to concede 30 to 35 goals. He believes that Arsenal had no chance of winning the Premier League with the amount of goals they turned over this season. Arsenal currently conceded 41 goals. Alex, do you think that's a fair point from Jamie Carragher? Arsenal have conceded too many goals this season?
I mean, not really. I mean, if you're scoring as many goals and you're scoring and you're winning, I don't really see that as a point. It only comes into play if it's affecting your like the goal difference. Like I guess if you're in that situation where you're going to be neck and neck, but I still feel like if you're winning all your games like they were, then I really don't see that being a big factor to me, and I don't know why he said that. It's very, very strange.
Steve, what's your thoughts on that one? Arsenal conceded too many goals this season.
We could certainly have, conceded less. I mean, I wouldn't say we've conceded absolutely bundles loads. We probably have. We've let quite a few goals in at home, it's especially recently. But if you're going to whack them in at the other end, does it really matter? I mean, I wouldn't have thought so, but yeah, maybe so. But again, it's just, it's picking, isn't it? This is what's annoyed me. You've got Gary Neville, and they're just picking on things to say why we haven't lost the title. We've done amazing this season. And it's a young side who just in the end just run out of gas, and it's just it's annoying, but yeah, I mean, look, you could say we could have let less in. Would that have made any difference? I don't know. I don't think so. I think City still would have gone on to win the title, but letting in 3 goals against Brighton, 2 against Bournemouth, 3 against Southampton, all at home, 3 against City. It's not great. It's not great, is it?
Arsenal have conceded the same amount of goals as Chelsea this season. They conceded 48 last season when they finished 5th, and they conceded 39 when they finished 8th. So it does seem like where they've been more expansive going forward, they've left themselves a little bit open. But
yeah,
they've got to find a happy balance next season, and that might be the answer.
But then I don't know. Like you could look at the season that Liverpool won the league. I mean, they didn't score as many goals as City did. So is that a thing as well? They still won the Premier League. So I don't know what angle that he's trying to come at with that.
It's just picking, isn't it? It's just picking.
Every Premier League season and see that a team has conceded more goals but still won the league because they won the games that they needed to win. So it just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. But again, yeah, like you say, it's just nitpicking, just trying to find a reason, trying to do some clickbait. Sky, do better, please.
All right. This Manchester United is set to release 5 players with Phil Jones and Alex Tuanzebe set to be released in the summer. Alex, is this the big clear out Man United finally needed?
Oh my God. Yes, of course it is. I mean, it's one of the big clear outs. I mean, they've been fringe players for a little while now. I mean, Phil Jones played 1 or 2 games last season, and then he came back and was injured. We've not seen him at all this season, so that was to be expected. Tuanzebe, I'm hoping Bailly's in that conversation. So they're people like, I mean, Brendan Williams, another person that should be in that conversation to be clearing out. I think the big ones that I want to hear is like Maguire, who's rarely played this season. McTominay as well, who's rarely played. So there's a few more names that I need to see in that big clear out. But these little minor names that they're giving us now, it's like, okay, please, we know this is to be expected. So yeah.
All right. Who else needs to go?
Oh, Maguire. I feel like that situation is clearly looks done to me. If you're choosing Luke Shaw, a centre-back, over the actual centre-back, that tells me all I need to know about what this manager feels that this player can do in the team. I think it's so hard. I feel like as much as I love Sancho, I feel like I just want him to go to a better team that will suit him better, that he can then perform, because in the way that we're playing right now, the system, the structure, I just I just don't see him excelling. And it's like every week this kid is not playing a full 90 minutes. And I feel like if Rashford wasn't injured the other day, he probably wouldn't have started. Rashford would have definitely started ahead of him. So those things are really difficult. Who else do I think needs to go? I think McTominay's time's up with us. I think Fred as well. I just want to get rid of that whole like midfield, like Fred situation. I want to get rid of all that. And that's it. I'd actually keep Gea right now because we have no other options. But yeah, those are my top people to get rid of.
Would you look to keep Sabitzer?
No, actually, no. Yeah, get rid of him too. I think for me, they could
Pretty
go.
threadbare squad.
Yeah, they could go as well. So yeah, and also Tellez as well. Alex Tellez. Yeah, I think it's his time as well.
I'm still there. All right, welcome Nathan Ellington. How you doing, Nathan?
Not too bad. I was just listening on the way home, just there. What I'd jump in with a few comments there.
All right. As I said to Alex, obviously, Phil Jones and Tuanzebe off out. Who else do you think needs to go?
Goodbye, them not. Maguire needs to go. The number one player. I think he's the main player who's a first team player who's affecting the team, who's a player we should really get rid of and get some money for him. Whatever we can get back for him would be great. I think obviously Phil Jones, Tuanzebe, we said. When you're looking forward, I actually, you know what, I'm in two minds whether Sancho should be sold or loaned out. I'm not sure he fits our way of playing, and I'm not sure what it would take to get him to play to the levels that we need him to play. I don't think his style of football suits us. If we get
you think it's just Man United, or do you think it's the Premier League?
I think it's Man United. I think if he was at a Man City, play ball like that, he may get himself in positions better. If he's even at an Arsenal, it would be played better, different football. He's in the structured, even Brighton, the way they play, the kind of football that they play, it's so many men moving and so much forward thinking that he'd be able to thrive with that. But I don't think we have that. I think we need players that can do something off the cuff. That's why we need a Garnacho at the moment. He picks up the ball, does something on his own. Rashford, that's what he's known for, continuously doing stuff on his own. Anthony, trying to do stuff on his own, but not quite doing it. So that's why he's kind of in and out at times. And that's why when you see these kind of players who are like that, you just realize, right, that's why they're not having the greatest of times. Sancho's definitely one of them. He needs to...
So, sorry, what does Sancho need? Does he look more of an 1-2 intricate player? I thought he was a take on a man.
That's what I thought. But, when you watch the German league, it was players jumping in at him and he was always skipping the challenge. He's able to skip things easily. And then because they play such a high line, he's one-on-one from like halfway line. And there's or maybe two versus no one. And it's just a keeper to beat, bearing down on goal. So when you look at it that way, teams don't do that in Premiership. They sit back, they hold up the space. But then if you're playing in a team that have to get forward and commit men, then you're leaving space. And that's when he's at his best. But then you have to be able to play that kind of intricate stuff. And you need people who can do the rest. Like if you've got a Kane, he's a specialist up front. So now he's specialist at setting you up, playing you back in. But then he's also a specialist at finishing when you give him the ball back. So now Sancho, he would get much more assists just because he's playing with a Kane who gets the ball and scores in a situation that a Martial probably wouldn't, or a Vegas definitely wouldn't, if you get what I mean. So that's the difference you get. It's a difference of, look, what did Haaland do for him? Laying the ball to Haaland, and it's always going to be a goal, or laying it to Weghorst, for example, for, let's say, 15 games. When's a goal going to come from that? And that's the difference. And a lot of Man United players have come from Dortmund. Kagawa looked very good, intricate player, pop move. He didn't get seen. Every time I watched him, we played a different football. Even Sanchez, from Arsenal to United, he didn't automatically become rubbish. He automatically changed to a team that doesn't play intricate one-touch stuff and know where to be at all times. So we keep making that stupid mistake of finding the wrong players, but Erik ten Hag hasn't made that mistake yet. He knows exactly the profile that he needs, and he's going to bring that in. So hopefully he'll continue to do that, and we'll be able to actually get more of them players in. It's not that Sancho's a bad player. I'm saying we might have to take him out because he's not our type of player, and then we get someone else in. I don't know, but it looks like that for me, and that's a surprise, isn't it? Maybe coming from my mouth today.
It's a surprise coming from Alex as well.
I said the same thing.
Did you say it?
Yeah. It's crazy that I'm hearing that Sancho could potentially be on that list of people you want to leave. Steve, what's your thoughts on that? Did you think that Sancho would potentially be on that list of Man United players that haven't hit? It's been there nearly 3 seasons now. Is it 3 seasons? 2 seasons.
Well, it don't surprise me since he's come to the Premier League, he hasn't hit it off. If he would have came into the Premier League, gone into Manchester United and did what he did at Dortmund, then certainly, he'd probably be one of the best players in the Premier League without any shadow of a doubt. But like I've said before, I've had quite a few conversations with Nathan. Bundesliga is a different thing from the Premier League, and you've got to do it in the Premier League. And sadly, he hasn't done it. And I like Sancho, and obviously being a winger, myself, you always like wingers to do well. And I was looking forward. I was looking forward to seeing him play, and I wasn't looking forward for him doing well for Manchester United. But when he came, I was excited. But it's a shame, really, isn't it? He's young. He's got so much quality. I don't think he will go out on loan, and I don't think he will get sold. He's had, to be fair to him, he has had quite a lot of injuries. And he is, I'm sure Nathan and Alex will agree, he's also been in a side where managers are sort of, no one's got really settled yet. No one's really got hold of him. He's been injured for a lot of this season. So I wouldn't put him out on loan now. I'd give him next season, see what he was doing. Just, play him on that left. Have Garnacho as he's like someone to come in. But then again, it's difficult because then you've got Rashford on one side, you've got Anthony on the other. The jury's still out a little bit on Anthony as well. The ideal thing is if you can have Anthony and Sancho, thrash it out. If them two can hit form on that side and they can rotate, that would be amazing.
You know what, Steve? What's funny is Garnacho's actually better than Sancho, and Amad Diallo is going to give a run for his money.
I forgot about Diallo.
I was going to add to that what you're saying, Steve. Like, he's not been injured a lot. He had to go away because of his fitness. Like, his fitness has been up. And I think the first...
Sanchez had to go away for his fitness?
Sancho.
And he hasn't started, though, has he? He hasn't been in the squad, has he?
He's not been in the... He was in the squad for like, I think, a period of time. So I think it was like September, October, and then he came back in November.
Yeah.
At that time. So he was away for a little period of time. But I think that it's the season before that was a ridiculously horrendous season. I mean, it was you saw it. It was a car crash. It was horrible. So then I was like thinking, okay, just give him time. And I think this season, he went away, and we were looking and expecting him to come back. And then he had a great first start. He played in a game, and it was like we were thinking, yeah, he's come back, and it just hasn't been that way. So I think back to the point of the wingers, one of the things I've noticed about Erik ten Hag is that he likes the fullbacks to switch around. He likes his wingers to switch around. So I think that in terms of Sancho, it's one of those things where he's been moved into a 10 role. So maybe that potentially is something that we could see him put him in that position more, because Bruno's been all around the pitch. So he's been in a 6, he's been an 8, he's been a 10, he's been a right winger. So I think that there may be something in that you can use Sancho and utilize Sancho. But I think it all rests again on us getting competent players in the midfield, a competent striker that can then...
I was going to say that.
So, yeah.
I was going to say that, Alex. I was going to say, Garnacho for me is someone who comes across... I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Garnacho for me is someone who's direct. He runs at players, beats them, uses his pace, bosh, go, scores a goal. Yeah, give him the ball, just let him go. That's not what Garnacho is to me, and he's pretty fearless at doing that. So regarding needing a striker and that, he doesn't really need it. He can grow and do it on his own. You know, he's like a one man force, if you like. Where Jadon Sancho's is a little bit different. Yeah, I feel he would be more benefit on that left hand side, and you would get more out of Sancho if you had a decent striker. You haven't had a decent striker for a long while. When he was at Dortmund, he had Haaland, yeah, and you see the best of Sancho. Sancho needs other players around him, right? Sancho's not someone who just runs direct like Garnacho, right? He's a totally different player. Two totally different players. I think he will. But if you get a striker next year, whoever that may be, whether it's a Kane, an Osimhen, whoever, I think you'll see the best of Jadon Sancho, and I think he'll be guaranteed to start in front of Garnacho.
But here's the thing, though. What are you seeing in his game at the moment that you can say, yeah, you know what?
Nothing.
He looks like he's going to be able to do bits.
Nothing at the moment. Nothing.
I think it's the way that when I've watched him, the way that he can slow down the way that he plays and take that time to make decisions. But the problem is the decision making that he makes that it doesn't work. And I sometimes I just see him just even in a low block. I think he's suited to a low block, as well as we say like he's really good at high line. I think because he is good at, in my opinion, I think he's good at being direct, at running through players and getting into the pockets. I've seen him do it. And I just think that it's a confidence thing as well. I really do think it's one of those things where it's a mental thing, because you're comparing Garnacho. Garnacho looks like he's up for it. His head is there. He's ready to play every single game, and he's fearless. And that's the thing that I think Sancho is missing. And I think that that's something that he can pull out of himself and he can work on. And that's why I feel like in order for him to save his career, to save himself, then it's actually a better idea for him to go somewhere where they can play a style of football that suits him, where he can excel.
Yeah, I think you make a good point now. I think that, especially on the Garnacho thing, Garnacho hasn't had anything go against him. Garnacho hasn't had a season where he's the main man and he's got to perform. And we saw that with Eddie Nketiah. When Eddie Nketiah got put into the limelight, at first, brilliant, excellent. As games started going on and he was scoring more goals, the expectations get higher and the pressure starts to build in himself. And then it starts to go a bit, you should be scoring in this game. In games where it was, he could score, it's like, no, you should be scoring this game because you're against a team in the bottom half of the table. You should be scoring. That's now pressure on himself. And it completely changes his game. It completely changes. So it'd be interesting to see how Garnacho done if he was in the same position as Jadon Sancho, where he was regarded as the main man and he had to do things week in, week out.
Well, that Donny van der Beek, what's happening with him? That's with a heavy heart, I think, for every single football fan. In what's going to happen with him? I mean, is he going to get a chance? Is he going to get sold? What's going to happen with him? He doesn't look like it, does he? He looks like he's going to leave.
Well, because he's under Ten Hag, he's got the most chance to come back and get a pre-season under his belt and see what he looks like in pre-season. If he doesn't kick off and do well, if we bring in, let's say, another player, let's say we got a De Jong, for example, that means our midfield is pretty set with Casemiro, De Jong, and a Bruno. And then if Donny can come into a side like that when you're not playing a De Jong and he comes in and he can do a job like he did for Ajax, why not? But he has to be given that chance. And the only person I think who can give him that is Ten Hag. And I think he will. I think he'll give him one more chance to show what he can do. And then if he plays the odd, let's say he plays till Christmas and he's still, everyone's saying the same thing about him, he'll be gone. He'll be gone by Christmas. So, and deservedly so. He needs to move on and then go kickstart his career again, because he was doing it because he was playing week in, week out. End of the day, you can't be expected to do much to be the best you can be unless you're playing week in, week out. Sancho got that chance. I think when he came back, he got loads of games. And the difference with him is he didn't even do it in tiny spells enough for me. Like, you see little glimpses of amazing stuff from certain players. Even, for example, Pepe at Arsenal, you watch him, you go, he's exciting. He can rip a man up. He can do these skills. He can do that. But he might not have had a good season, but you can see that there's something on that field that he can affect. At the moment, when you see Sancho playing, it looks like he can't affect nothing. You give him the ball open, free, on the edge, and he doesn't take his man on. He doesn't play the right ball. He doesn't do anything. And like it's like, okay, so what are you actually gonna do? It's just a link-up thing. And saying what you mentioned there, it's the Donny van der Beek is a link-up player. If he's not able to link with people, you might as well not play him. And you have to have the ball. You have to be a team that's ball dominant. And then you see the rest of the Sancho, you see the rest of not ball dominant, forget him.
I don't think so. I see another thing, Nathan, as well. I don't think Sancho's one of these players who you can bring off the bench and do anything. I think like
no, he can't, yeah, I don't think he can really do that either.
He has to start. He has to start, and I don't think his mentality's right to be like a second fiddle, if you like, to someone else. I don't think his head's be in the right place, which don't help Manchester United, does it at all? You want players who are ready to come on, fight for their place. I don't know if he's got that in him.
Alex, do you think? I was just going to ask on that Sancho situation because, you know, the one thing that I've noticed about him is his off the ball side of things. Do you think he's better? He would be better in like a lesser team and always playing. You know, like when we saw Grealish, he was at Villa playing all the time, and then you could see him kind of flourish. Do you think Sancho needs to go back to that kind of environment to then see the best of him, where you rely on him to do near enough everything? And you're looking at him as the main man.
Do you know what? In thinking about it, maybe it would be better for him to go to like another foreign league again. I mean, potentially, because like the only other team that I can see him doing well in is City. I really think that team would suit him, and I think if he would have stayed there, him and Foden would be probably up there with numbers and scoring, and he'd probably be playing for England all the time. I really think that. But I think the way that his off the ball, I find it frustrating as well, because I think it's understanding what the type of like profile the player is, and maybe he's not like an Anthony who's just so his movement, he's like ball security and ball retention, that kind of stuff. That's not the type of player that he is. He offers something different, and that doesn't suit us and the way that we like to play and the way we need our wingers to perform. Yeah. So it could be potentially another a team, I don't know, somewhere in Italy, Napoli, somewhere like that. Maybe it could be somewhere suited for him, but it's a shame. It's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Man United got a 2-0 victory over Wolves the other day. Your man there, Garnacho scored, and Anthony Martial, another player who came to Man United with high hopes. He peaks and troughs in his performances, and he's there one season, not the next. Is next season going to be the season for Anthony Martial to really knuckle down and be the main man at United, or not?
I can't see it. I can't see it happening.
So is he one of the players that could potentially be going?
I don't think he'll end up going, because I'm not sure. I think we need to still have different strikers at the club. Like, we can't get rid of everyone. And even though he's not the answer, he's still at a certain level that you need. And that's like, there's not many players I would say can come in and be way better than him at the money we're going to be willing to pay to be in that position. So he already strikes me as a player who should be at this club, but we need better, if you get what I mean. And I don't think he'll be able to stay fit a whole season. And that's the main problem as well. And the other side is he is a frustrating player. So although he scores the odd goal every now and again, he just doesn't. He frustrates you with too many other things. And when you see that happening for that amount of time, it's not just a one-off thing. It's just that's him. That's become the player he is. He scores you the goals. He's doing some nice link-up play, but then he will fall over and not get up and run after the ball. He'll not chase something. He'll not be in the right place to score a number 9 goal. He'll score a goal that number 9s don't score, and then he'll miss a chance and never head the ball back the way it came for a proper header that should score. So he's one of them players. Unfortunately, he will be a squad striker, and hopefully you bring in a player. He's a great. Imagine to have someone like that as your squad striker when your main man, comes off tired. That's what I want. I don't want to see any less of ability of a striker coming in to be a squad player.
Alex, do you think Martial has the temperament to be a squad striker?
See, that's where I disagree with you there, Nath, because I feel like you think. I think Martial coming off the bench, it does not move me at all right now, and I think that we can't get rid of all our strikers. that is true. We need a potent striker up top, and he's not it. But I just have this kind of fear that he comes on and like I've watched him in games. You know, there's not enough pace and power with him anymore. Like, you know, when
that's gone. Yeah,
like,
it has gone.
Striking is not there. The decision making is not there. It's like all I could see Martial doing is tap-ins, but like he needs it to be literally put on a plate right there with the goal, and that's where he can score. And there's even times when it's been on a plate where it's an open goal, and he's still hit it towards the keeper. So I find that super hard to look at him as like a coming off the bench, like a Solskjaer kind of player. You know that he'll come off the bench and like really get you those goals. I don't have that trust in Martial anymore, and that's just because of performance, like fitness. He was a great player when he joined us, and he's had on-off seasons, and I think the consistency is the thing that I can't trust anymore. And it's been 8 seasons, it's been 8 years now. And so I think if there's a player that has to go as well, he's got to be in there. But like you say, we can't just get rid of every single striker. Otherwise, you know, the next season it will be pretty much like last one.
We've got Martial and Weghorst. So you can't really get rid of Martial right now. Yeah, I don't want to see Weghorst as our main man.
No, I agree. He's the less people, I agree.
So it is a tough one because we are used to much better strikers, aren't we? So we've had
I think he has to go. I think he's one that should be on your list. And
that's a
shame. And that's a shame. Well,
how do you get another striker in and then also a top striker at the same time?
Well, like Alex says, he's not someone. Again, he's very similar to Sancho. He's someone who seems to me has to start. Yeah, he's one of these players who gets a little bit of the ump if he's not. We've seen that in seasons going back, even when he's been fit. If he's not starting, he throws his toys out of his prams a little bit. I'm a big fan of Martial, so don't think for 1 minute I'm having a go at him. When he first came to Manchester United, wow, he was incredible. But his attitude ain't right for a team, who's going to want to be going, say, maybe challenge for titles in the next year or two. He's forever on the treatment table, just always getting injured. So I don't see what type of second striker you don't want a second striker, even if what he's going to be is someone who's never fit, and for someone who's got someone's got a mentality problem. What
would you do then as a manager? Would you get rid of him and have just Weghorst there, and then Weghorst is gone? So what would you do then once you've got rid of him?
Well, ideally you want to bring in 2 strikers, didn't you? Or you
with how much money?
Or you play. You've got plenty of wingers, haven't you? You've got Sancho, you've got Nacho, you've been Diallo back, you've got Anthony back.
But none of them are strikers.
Rashford can play down the middle if need be.
Yeah, you've only got 1 striker left. That's it, and then he's on the middle. Well,
There's no
other striker. That's a.
But if you're gonna bring a striker in,
yeah,
and you've got Rashford to play down the middle every now and then if need be, or you need to change something up, or you need to bring another wing. If Rashford's playing out on the left and he's your main left, right, and you need to change something up, you bring Rashford and put him in the middle, right? So evidently you could say, well, say Rashford's on the bench, but he's not. He's on the pitch. But then you bring on a winger like Diallo or Sancho or Garnacho to take Rashford's place. Yeah. You've got your player there.
The only way that could work is if we get someone like Kane playing every game.
Because you've got players.
Exactly. Yeah, but remember, this is our problem this year. We're missing too many chances.
But that's what you've got to do.
We're not
that's
a team.
What you've got to do. You got.
Yeah, but you can't have the Rashford up there because he needs to be on the left, and we need a potent player who scores 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chances. You can't have all through the front line people having 1 in 7 shots to score a goal.
I'm not talking about playing Rashford up there every single game. I'm on about.
I know, but then you need to change it up. You need to get that.
That's 100%. You have to go and get a striker. That's I'm talking about if you need to change something up, or you want to.
If you need to improvise like we've done this year. But
so if you're going to go on, so that he's your second striker.
This is what's happened this year, and the issue is we've scored nowhere near enough goals. We're behind you guys. We're behind Newcastle. We're behind probably Tottenham and Brighton and everyone in goal scored. We need to have not just the Kane, because if he's not playing, you still want to have a. That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying you need another one behind that. The main.
Why can't you play Rashford though? Why can't you play Rashford?
But you want him on as well, not him instead of. You want to have that firepower as well as another firepower at the same time.
I'm not about if you want to change it up. I'm not about if you want to change it up in the middle of the game. You buy a new striker. You're buying a new striker to sit on the bench. Yeah, that's what you're buying another striker for. Yeah, so you've got your main striker and another striker sitting on the bench. Yeah, why can't you just move Rashford into the middle if you need to change it? You're saying Rashford ain't good enough to play down the middle, yeah?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're only going to have enough money to buy one big striker, and we're not going to buy a good enough second striker that can come in.
So that's why you got Rashford.
That's why I'm saying you keep Martial until you can. The next time, once you've spent your money in that position, you still got to keep certain players around the squad. That's why we're keeping De Gea.
But right now, at this moment in time, if you've got Kane there right now.
Yeah.
If you've got Kane there right now, and you're playing,
I don't get rid of Martial. I keep him on the bench.
And you're playing with Rashford on the left.
Yeah.
So if you start with Rashford, Kane, and Anthony,
yeah,
and you want to try something different, it ain't working, yeah. So you look at your bench. You want to bring on your new striker. Why can't you put Rashford in the middle and play and bring on Sancho and play on the wing?
You can, but then you haven't got the proper striker in there now. You've just moved Rashford.
So he's not good. That's what I mean. He's not good enough to play down there.
No, he is good. He can do a job, but it's not something that you can do. You want him staying in his main position at all times. You don't go Saka, go to the middle, please, or Martinelli, please play in the middle. You want them staying on their strongest position. So when the game needs a sub, I don't want to see my left winger move. I don't want to see Bruno have to move from Cam.
So who would you bring in, Nath? Who would you bring in as a backup striker? So you got.
I'm saying I'd keep Martial in the squad and I would play Kane.
I don't know. I
do. I'd rather
play Rashford. I'd rather put Rashford there.
I'm not buying two strikers in this window.
I genuinely question a Man United team that could bring in a striker when they spent all summer trying to bring in someone. They brought in Weghorst, in January.
Exactly.
Like they didn't bring in anyone. They spent a long time trying to bring in a defender. They identified the players they wanted to bring in, and they took very long to bring those in. I wouldn't trust this board to bring in two. I get where Nathan's coming from. I wouldn't trust. If you could guarantee that there's other ones coming in, I just don't see it. And when you're talking about levels, what level of player are you bringing in that's going to come in as that second string striker, unless it's an up and coming player?
That's what I've been saying. You're not going to get to. You've got Rashford there.
You know what? If it's the Ferguson, for example, from Brighton, no problem.
But that's going to cost you 80 mil.
No,
that's not cheap.
You've got one who's going to
score the same amount of Martial, even though we're not happy with him, and that you're going to bring in second fiddle, who's going to score that amount of goals, even though we're upset with him.
Ideally, this second stringer would be a youth player that's coming through that actually looks like a serious prospect, but they're not there. They're not there or thereabouts.
What are you going to say, Alex? Sorry, we cut you off.
No, I was literally going to say what Keir's just said. And I was also going to say that in terms of the reason why we had to get Weghorst in the first place was because Martial was injured. That was like literally a last minute thing. And we didn't have the money to like get a loanee who was going to be of a high quality. That's just where we were at in terms of budget and funds. Sorry to be that person to go back to money, but that is it. And that's the owner side. And I think, we are getting new owners. We are, as a thing. So we'll have to see where that takes us in the summer.
I think it was also because Cristiano left in the middle of nothing, like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And we weren't expecting him to also go straight away. So that wasn't really fair on us. And then Greenwood gets done what he's done. So that's another forward out of the way.
And that's your player that's coming through the ranks as well.
Yeah. So
that's every 5 years, those ones.
And now it is him we're looking at, you're injured. Is it because he's injured, or is it because we lost Cristiano and Greenwood out of the blue, and also Martial is injured? I think it's all three. I don't want to blame all Martial for everything. But
it's so difficult when you got two strikers, isn't it? You take it. We look at Arsenal. Right? Everybody's talking about how we need someone who scores more goals. Yeah, but you've got to convince someone who's going to come in. And we're going to put Gabriel Jesus on the bench.
And that's the problem there. You've sold Gabriel Jesus, that he's the main man of this project.
Exactly.
One season in, you're talking about bringing in a 20-goal a season striker. Where does Jesus go? Exactly. That talks crazy to me. I don't even want to bother with that. You just get more players around the pitch that score more goals. Saka should be scoring more goals as he progresses. Martinelli will score more goals as he progresses. Odegaard's got 15 this season, which is outstanding. And we just need more goals from other players on the pitch. That's where it needs to come from. And yes, again, add on top of that, the man who was out the team for 4 months, they're questioning whether he can score goals. Like, come on, like he's got 15 goals.
But he does need a lot of chances, but he scores a lot of goals anyway. But the thing is, you guys have scored enough goals this season. Like you scored loads of goals, haven't you? Aren't you the second top goal scoring team? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. We don't score enough, and we let too many in. And we're going into the last 3 games of the season when we got a chance to win the title. So what utter rubbish?
No, I think in order to win the league, like I said, the bar is very high. Yeah,
it's very high.
We're not far off. We're not there. But
now it looks bad because you're losing games, but you're probably going to lose that game anyway in a normal season. And that would be on another day. If there was no City, you win in the league anyway. But City are who they are. They're ridiculous. So they're going to go on a mad run. You have to be really superstar to get anywhere near them. So end of the day, it looks like it's a major fall off, but really it's what probably was going to happen for the whole of the season anyway.
Yeah, but again, even that, I don't even. It's if you're talking about of the standards of Man City, the standards that Man City set, which is the bar now. A team that got 93 points last season, a team the season before, don't know how they got 86, 98, 99. They got 100 points the season before that. Liverpool got 99 points. Chelsea had to get 93 points the season before that. And that's going up to 2016. It's crazy. The standards of this Premier League are mental. So it looks like we dropped off. But yeah, it's just the high standards of this league. It's the high standards of this league.
Pep Guardiola, isn't it? I mean, Pep Guardiola is just absolute genius, isn't he?
It's the money behind them as well. It's the stadium, it's the talent ID that they have. It's all of those combinations that have meant that they have been able to sustain themselves over this period of time. I mean, not everyone's had that. You know, when Pep got the job, he walked into a job with an immaculate, amazing stadium. You know, he was able to have money backing behind him to go out and get those players that he needed to get. And the rebuild, but you know, it takes time. It's like look at Klopp, but what he's got to deal with the limited funds. I think if Klopp had loads of money at his disposal, he would be probably like doing a 3-peat as well, you know. But he doesn't. So
there is one thing I want to mention though on that. I think Pep's done an amazing job when it comes to his use of money, because when you look at how much he's spent less than all of us. Like, although he's had the money to do whatever he wants, he hasn't spent the money. He hasn't given people stupid wages either. He said, listen, you want to come? You want that money? Now forget it then. You want this money? You come in. Yeah, and then we spent more than them. Like, I think everyone has spent more than them. Sorry?
I think they've spent near enough the same, actually. But
I think I looked at it. They were near the bottom of the spending. From what when I saw something, I don't know what it was from, but it said like he spent very little compared to a lot of the others. He was in like 11th of maybe all of even the clubs in the world.
They're very good with recouping money on their players. They recoup a lot of money on their youth players as well. Pedro Porro is a Man City player who's now at Tottenham. Who if they sell, I think it's Betis or Rayo Vallecano, if they sell, City getting a percentage. There's the amount of players that City have brought through, sold on with percentage sales, that they then recoup those seasons, which then sort out the books.
He's very clever as well, isn't he? He's very clever as well. You know, players like Alvarez. Do you know what I mean? No one really knew what he was like or what he was gonna do. Pep knew he's come in and absolutely smashed it. I mean, the guy at the back,
Akanji strong as well.
But Akanji's got to be a candidate. Got to be a candidate for one of the, the team of the season this year.
Sides of the year, yeah.
Ireland, they paid
But again,
50 million for Ireland. I mean, because you're Man City, it helps. You know, it's very easy to, you know, convince players to come because they're Man City. You know, because of the projects and what they do, and they're going to probably win the Champions League. They're going to win the league this year.
They still have that financial fair play like trial case thing looming over them because they spent a lot of money in the past 11 years. So I mean, we'll see how that plays out. So I mean, we're waxing lyrical about it now, but we'll see when all that unfolds as to how frugal and how responsible they've really been with their money. But
well, they're going to get 60
the
million
thing is,
aren't they?
I look at years gone by, and I look at Chelsea, and I just feel there's so much hate that is put on Man City, because I don't know, maybe because there's more teams involved. They feel hard done by. Liverpool being one of them that like to moan a lot about Man City. But I'm an Arsenal fan who had to deal with Chelsea when there was no restrictions, and then we were told at the time that's just the way football's going. So I don't understand why everyone's on the case of Man City, because they sell their training ground for £1 billion. Well, Chelsea go out and spend 600 million, and have an overinflated squad, youth players that they're buying from all other teams across the Premier League that are never going to get games. Amari Hutchinson, Chuck Wiener, two players who have tremendous talent and potential who are never going to see a game in the Premier League over the next 2 seasons because the amount of players that Chelsea have got in their squad. And no one even talks about them. They're ruining players. Like, they're ruining players, while Man City are bringing up players, sending out players on loan, making money for letting them go to other clubs and their careers can progress, and we're pointing at Man City. No, it's Chelsea are the team that are doing football wrong, not clubs 100%. Like Man City.
They're the worst team for it.
They're the worst. We can point at Man City because they've got the big money, they've got the oil money, they've got a blank check. So, but they with their money, they spend it, I think, fairly. I see them spend big money. What I see Man City have is the ability to go out and spend without worrying. Whereas everyone else have to go, if I spend this 50, I've got to sell a 20. If I spend this 30, I might not be able to bring in a player till the end of the season. Whereas Man City can go, buy. Yes, this is what we have to sell at the end of by the end of the campaign. And that's the difference. I know that Man City are the everyone's scrutinising their books because more and more is out there now. But I just think we're going down the wrong route and blasting. It could be fairer, but I don't think it's as unfair as what people are saying. Man United, final few games of the season, they get in top 4. Nathan.
Yeah, I think now we've done a great job in our last game, winning 2-0 against Wolves. We've got 2 more home games and 1 away. I can see us being able to go and win 2 of those. It is doable, but again, you just never know. We have got Bournemouth, Chelsea, and Fulham. So if we can get the Bournemouth win out the way, I can see us winning one of the last 2. We need to get the next win out the way because Liverpool probably not going to let up. They're going to continue winning their games. I did think they'd probably lose a game. It wasn't going to be today, that's for sure, because Leicester are no good at the moment. But there might be a potential banana skin for them, so they might give us a little bit of a let-off. I think we'll just get over the line, only just. I think it's in our favour, and we will just get over that line.
Right, Alex.
Yeah.
You confident?
I feel like the squad are a decent squad. They're good enough to win and to get top 4. They're good enough to beat. Who have we got? We've got Bournemouth, we've got Chelsea, and we've got Fulham. Yeah, I think they're good enough to beat them. I think we've got 3 good games there. I think Liverpool, they've got Aston Villa and Southampton. Those are definitely games that I believe Liverpool are going to win. So that's going to keep the pressure up on us. But also equally, not that we look to other teams to lose or draw or whatever. I still feel like with Newcastle, in the game that they played the other day, they won. That was by 2 penalties. And I think in open play, they looked all right. But I think the games that they have coming up are... Yeah. They've got Chelsea. They've got Chelsea, Newcastle, and they've got Brighton. So I feel like with them, they need to worry about slipping up on points. But you know, our home form has been amazing this season, so that's what I'm relying on. And I think that with Bournemouth, I think there's huge potential for us to go there and win. But I felt that way about us playing West Ham, and then look where that got me. So I think definitely it remains to be seen. But I believe in my team getting top 4 for sure.
All right, Steve, who do you think is going to take that final spot for top 4? Do you think it'll be Manchester United or Liverpool?
Oh, sorry, was that me?
Yeah.
I didn't hear. I didn't know if I stayed on the screen.
Who do you think will get that final top 4 spot? Do you think it'll be Man United or Liverpool?
I think it'll be Man United. I mean, I don't know what's the score tonight.
2-0 to Liverpool against Leicester.
Is he frozen?
He's just frozen. He is just frozen.
2-0.
It's that. Yeah, 2-0. 2-0.
Are you sure that Newcastle?
It's that time.
Are you sure that Newcastle are going to get top 4 though? That's what I want to know. Are you actually sure about that? Because
what you think so. Newcastle will drop out?
No,
they very well could do. I mean, look at
Liverpool look like they could overtake them.
All right.
Possible.
So saying
they got
top 4
they got Brighton as well, so that's a tough one for them.
So who do you think will be the top 4? Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, or Liverpool, Man United?
I think it could be Liverpool, Manchester United for me. I think.
All right.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, Man United have got to be careful. They can't slip up. It doesn't look like Liverpool are guaranteed not to slip up. Where Man United, you just never know. I mean, the goal difference, I think Liverpool just got a little bit better goal difference, have they?
Yeah. If we can get our 1 win, I think we win it. If we get our 1 win against Bournemouth next, then we get 3rd.
Yeah.
But if we don't get that win, then I think we get 4th. I don't think we're going to be able to get that 3rd spot without winning. At least we have to win, and draw to get 3rd. And that's it. If we win, and that's it, and then lose, we're going to get 4th.
All right. Coming up to that time of the season, make sure you join us next Monday for the Super 6 podcast. Thank you for joining us, Alex. Thank you for joining us, Nathan. And thank you for joining us, Steve.
Pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
There we go. If you are new to the show, make sure you press that like and subscribe button and press that share button as well. If you are a regular, press that share button, press that like, and make sure you get a comment in the comment section as well. Make sure you join us next Monday at 8 o'clock for the Super 6 podcast. Peace out. Stay safe. Oh, someone's dropped a comment. Oh, thank you very much, Ross. Peace out. Stay safe and wash your hands.